Hello and welcome to this video. Now, we are going to talk about the overall game and how negative the player base has been, but also the fact that uh, some, some others, but mainly very uh, tilted by the fact that the reaction they're getting says that it's content creators and the player base's fault as to why the game is in a bad state, or it is believed to be. Now, I will make my first impression. I fear for where Path of Exile 2 is going. It might not be a bad thing, but the actual vision of Path of Exile 1 players and the vision of GGG might not be in the same hemisphere, and it might be going more towards trying to make it like a story mode RPG than a Path of Exile sort of ARPG, and get into that and all that, but mainly we'll talk about the actual why the content creators are getting and the player base are getting blamed for the Path of Exile being bad. Now, if you played Path of Exile 2 from EA launch all the way to now, you'll know that the areas are huge. The player is very slow. The ability to get uh, things to actually make you go through quicker and get out of a sort of issues of that is pretty much non-existent, and they keep adding checkpoints. But I'll give you this scenario: if you go from A to B in the direct path from start to finish, and it still takes you ages and feels like you're just wasting your time, putting 100 checkpoints along the way won't help. So, checkpoints is not the answer. Either condensing the map size or increasing the player speed is pretty much the only way you can fix it. But they're a little, pretty much they're blaming the player for either being undergeared so they can't take out the monster's health being too big, which was a big issue for the Dawn of the Hunt patch. But I think uniques still need, unless you want to buy things off trade and pretty much have to buy things off trade to get your upgrades instead of actual gear dropping, because Magic Find, uh, the fact that Magic Find exists, they nerfed the entire game's loot drop for the end game Magic Find. So, yeah, your damage is predicated, especially in patch 0.2, on are you willing to use Trade League? And most people know, because the ability to actually trade with players is awful, because you message 20 people, they all don't respond, so you then have to go on. You just wasted like half an hour plus trying to message people, finding gear, doing this, and then you're going to have to go through and do it yourself anyway. So people don't like using the trade website because it's terrible. People like the currency exchange because I want X for X, and if it's available, you get it straight up, done, dusted. There were some other issues on this, but the big issue that actually got everyone up in arms is because they've already said this earlier and said they're going to look and address, and they don't see any areas that actually were too big. It's just the player's fault, pretty much. They said that ages ago in early access launch. Then they reset it, which ticked a lot of people off, and because a lot of content creators are playing builds that have been heavily nerfed, or the build just isn't balanced around the skills enough, and they're slow. They're actually feeling a lot more than the last patch, when there were certain builds that, as long as you use certain skills, you pretty much had no issue. The warrior was always like this. So if you played warrior, I played warrior as my first character, and I played warrior as my first character for this patch, you will know it is painfully slow to go through area to area to area. It does not matter about damage. You can wipe out everything. If the area still takes you 5 minutes to run from A to B in each zone, and you got like 25 zones to run through, that's still a long time just running through zones for no benefit. Now we'll get over to Sir Gog. To sum up this video, he pretty much said that because Reddit says that POE 2 is in a bad state and the game is sort of terrible at the moment, everyone believes that it is because of Reddit and content creators. Anyone who makes a negative video on Path of Exile 2 or GGG is selling out just for cash. Not that that makes any sense, because if majority of players, and he makes two examples of posts that people put up. One looks like a GGG post of some burner account or whatever, probably, because it specifically says you are incentivized to use multiple skills in a combo. So you attack with one to build up another to then do damage with another type thing. That is what Mark Roberts has, I think it's Mark Roberts, has said so many times, because he's got that sort of reenactment, role play sort of mindset as to where the game should go. Like pretending you're actually the character and feeling like you're the character. Now that's not going to work the way it is. It could work with a few changes that will totally change Path of Exile 2 to a whole different game, and not Path of Exile 2. Pretty much you'd have to lock down weapons for certain classes. Classes get inherent bonuses, and skills can't be used outside those classes. So it wouldn't really be POE 2 anymore. It would be a whole different game, and nothing like POE 1. It might be awesome, it might not, but it wouldn't be where people are envisioning where it's going. So yeah, pretty much, and then in the video he shows his analytic page and shows that his positive videos get less views than his negative video, and that he tries to say that YouTube created this thumbnail and title and everything to prove that YouTube is trying to push negative videos. Except if you have a look, he used the background here. So even if he used YouTube to create the background, he used YouTube to create the background before and then zoomed in on the same background so it didn't look exact same. On top of that, in the past year, he has used this oops, debacle, blah blah blah, oops, patch with problems. This is 3 times in the past year. And also his videos that he shows with no views compared to others suddenly got 15k views. So he either just unluckily snapshot those at that time, and then suddenly it got another 10-15k as to what the video showed, or people saw the video and felt sorry for him, and 10,000, 15,000 people watched the video just so he'd feel better. But apparently he doesn't make negative videos, because making a negative video on GGG or Path of Exile 2 would be selling out. Now he brings this up because he's been called a sellout for ages, but in the past, since Path of Exile 2 0.2, it's been increased because, in my belief, it's because he makes negative sort of videos and then gives GGG a pass or backs GGG about things that GGG shouldn't be given a pass for. Like the large areas, they don't understand why people are complaining about large areas. It's been a complaint for the whole time, and the fact that so many of the top streamers and content creators pretty much skewered GGG for coming out with this meant that Act 3 is actually going to get some changes to it, and more than likely they're going to add checkpoints, but they should streamline it a little bit through Act 3. Now, if we didn't give our feedback, one, it's early access, it's what early access is for. A beta, early access, whatever you want to call it, is for feedback. Now, this is good feedback, not either backside kissing or negative to be negative feedback. This is legit feedback, and a majority of player base is saying the same thing. It's not all negative hype and content creators trying to light a fire and do hate videos for money. It is a community sort of anger towards the patch. Now, there are content creators which swap and go, whether the community says something's good, whether the community says something bad. They swap and change depending on what it is. Yes. But if the entire community is thinking that something is wrong, bad, needs changes, and it's virtually all on the same things, it's not because Reddit created the issue, it's not because content creators are trying to create hate content for money, and creating negative content or pointing out negatives on something is not selling out. And the fact that he trying to push making a negative video or pointing out negatives is selling out is just backwards. Like, selling out is trying to push your build creation website people for no other reason than it seems like you're getting paid to. Like, that's where a lot of it's also come from. It's like random pushes towards random things that, yeah, like, he's got himself to blame, really. And it's not affecting his content like he wants you to believe either. His content is usually just pretty much reading this out, pretty much word for word, or the patch notes in something like this. So reading all these patch notes out, or doing like what is accuracy, what is, I don't know, fracture orb or anything like that. So his content is pretty much this news came out, blah blah blah. So it's not like his content has been hampered because he's trying to make positive playing videos and everyone's just trying to drag him down and cost him money because everyone's trying to create a whole heap of negative videos. Yeah, that's it. Might as well go into politics because that's sort of trying to make everyone feel sorry for him for not making a video where he points out the flaws of a patch that certainly needed more TLC on it. And the Huntress has been in the works for like 3+ years. We got a showcase of the Huntress like 3 years ago. So the fact that the Huntress went from running around with a spear in the showcase to pretty much everyone is forced to stand there with a shield and parry. Shield, parry, parry, and stab. Like they're in some reenactment committee type thing, is not what people want to do. It might be the way we are forced to play Path of Exile 2, and GGG is trying to push us into that shield block, counter, shield block, counter. I don't think the player base will be around at a high number if that's what we got to do. It'll be too slow, and it's away from what people are expecting Path of Exile 2. And on the final note for the fact that people were outraged with certain things and making their voice really heard, has things coming and changes happening because people are voicing their opinion and outrage over certain things that should not be in the game or they believe need to be fixed or this, that, the other thing. their opinions, and the fact that majority of the opinions are saying the same thing to them, are forcing them to make changes. And some of the changes they're going to have to make, they don't want to make. Like, Mark Roberts is going to have to give up the ascendancies, only one ascendancy per thing, because no one wants to do the campaign again. The fact that people don't want to do the campaign to the point where it's, I'll just farm enough gold to respec my character into another build because I don't want to do the campaign. Or they're tilted by the nerf or the change or whatever that happened, and then they'd rather take a couple of days off than do the campaign again. Like, that's how bad the campaign feels. So it does need changing, and it's not all about selling out by saying that campaign needs a lot of work. We only got 3 acts and it needs huge amounts of work. When do we got 4, 5, 6? They're just going to be worse if things aren't changed to streamline the campaign a lot better. So let me know what you think about the video. Let me know what you think about this patch. Let me know whether you've tried the Huntress and everything, and what character you actually went, Smith Katava or the new Lich. The rest of it, let me know what you think about also, and I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.